Welcome to Let's Talk Health. My name is Dr. Jennifer Sankey, and I'm the Director of Health Ministries and Possibilities Ministries at the Southeastern Conference of Seventh-day Adventists. I'm so glad that you joined us for our second episode of Let's Talk Health. Today, we're going to talk about eye health. We know that everybody wants 20/20 vision, but the reality is everyone does not have 20/20 vision. And we want to talk about how to care for your eyes so that they will care for you. Today, our guest is Melinda Wilson. Welcome, Melinda.
Thank you, Dr. Sankey.
Thank you for being here. We're so excited about talking about eye health because our eyes are so important to us.
Yes, it is.
So, when I was a little girl, I worked with my dad. He had a cleaning business, and we would vacuum the floor. And he said, "Don't you see that dirt on the floor?" And we would say, "No." And he said, "You need to get your eyes checked." So that was my first experience of going to the eye doctor to get my eyes examined. And I might have been maybe around 10 years old or so. And I had to wear glasses. And so at that time, I was glad because I could see much better.
Right.
But what I'm finding, Melinda, is a lot of people do not like to go to the eye doctor, and they don't go. So what are your thoughts about that?
Well, a lot of people have not been informed as to reason why they need to go to the eye doctor because they feel like, I can see right now. So what is the issue? There's no issue. I feel healthy, I look good, and my eyes are okay. But we do not know what may come down the road. And it's important to get your eyes checked because you need to know what may it lead to. I mean, there are many things that it can lead to. It can lead to diseases of the eyes. It can lead to blindness. It just might even lead to you just needing glasses, like you said yourself, that you needed glasses. But your eyes can change in the progress. So you need to continually go to see what eyeglass changes that you might need also. Because you might think one thing, that I'm good and I'm okay, there's nothing wrong, but there may be.
Yes. What I've heard is that we should get our eyes checked every single year.
Yes.
And so most insurance plans have a eye component, if you choose that, or a dental component.
Vision.
So it's actually allowing you to get your eyes checked. I mean, really insurance companies are allowing that to happen. But there's still people who have difficulty going to the eye doctor every single year because they don't see the value. They're like, I can see well, but their eyes may have changed.
Correct.
And those are the same people who are driving out there, Melinda. They're behind the wheel somewhere driving.
So you're saying you see that little old lady driving behind the wheel and she's trying to see what is going on. And that's the one that needs to get her eyes checked. Well, she doesn't want to get her eyes checked because she feels like, if I'm driving on the road, who else is going to drive me? There's no one to take care of me, so I don't want to get my eyes checked because if I find out that something is wrong, then it might take my license away.
Oh, you just brought up a very sensitive issue, Melinda. So my mother was 87 or 88, had been driving herself around, independent, didn't want to disturb us. And she went to get her eye exam. They have to do that every periodically at the DMV for the to get your license renewed. And she didn't pass the test. She didn't pass the eye test at the driver's license plates. And they told her that she could drive no longer. And that was so crushing to her. And so, again, you're right. Going every year can help you identify, do you have an issue? Do you need to get glasses? Because if you don't, it's very possible that you could be driving along, putting yourself in danger.
Correct.
Or
and
someone
others
else,
in danger.
And others in danger as well. So what are some of the things that we should talk about when people notice vision changes? So for me, over 40, we know that some things are going to happen.
Well, I know for myself, I noticed some eye change was coming when I saw a halo around the light. And also when you see blurred vision, and there's some vision that it just you don't see as far as you used to see. So if there's a stop sign, it's red and white. But can you read the letters
Right.
from 20 feet away? I mean, also, if you have to have your phone real close up to your face, or your whatever you're reading up close to your face, then you know that your eye vision is changing.
Yes, yes. You know, I even think about with children, I'll go back to children. Sometimes they're not doing well in school because they can't see from where
The
they're
board.
sitting. Like they can't see the board, you know, and they say, oh, they're just a poor student. But they may not understand it's their vision that's interfering with their learning. So I would say even for parents, you know, before school starts, again, put them on that every year, getting their eyes examined so that they can make sure that when they get in the classroom, that's not a barrier.
Correct.
So, you know, as people do get older, visions change. I've noticed that I need more light when I'm sitting and reading. What are some other visual changes that they may notice? You talked about the halo, which I hadn't even thought about that, the halo. Certainly the blurred vision, needing more light.
And if you see dots when you looking at objects, then you need to know that your eyes are changing also, because these dots are not clear. And with my eye change, it was when I noticed that it started becoming dim in the rooms. And you know, someone was like, why is it she turning the light on? And then I said to myself, something must be going on here. Or why is it that you're not cleaning up as well as you used to? Something's going on. Someone else might observe what is going on with you, and you might not even notice the change.
Wow. Now that's really powerful. That is powerful because, again, sometimes we don't even notice that there have been changes. It's not until it's been pointed out to us. And I think when it's pointed out to us that we take heed.
Yes.
That something really needs to have medical attention.
Yes.
I do know that sometimes when I go to the eye doctor, they'll want to dilate my eyes. And I'm like, no, I don't have time because my vision gets really blurred. But what I learned is that it's important to have your eyes dilated once a year so that they can look behind the eye to see what's going on with the vessels in the eye.
Yes, because if your vessels are deteriorating and then they break apart from your eyes, then you know that you have a problem, and they can detect that so that they can rectify it as quickly as possible. The more it deteriorates, the more that they will see that there is a problem. And you want to catch it earlier so that you won't have that blindness. Also, with the pressure in your eyes, you want to make sure that the pressure is low enough. When I first got checked with my eyes, since I have low vision, I was told I had 69 in one eye and 70 in the other eye. They asked me, why am I not dead? Why are you walking around here? Your pressure is too high. My pressure has to be now regulated once every 3 months. Has to be below 14. Now, if it's below 14, can you imagine a 69 and a 70 in your eye?
Wow.
How high that is? And it was nothing but the grace of God that kept me here.
Amen. Amen. That's a good example because I know they do that glaucoma check in the office as well. And they do that little puff in your eye, or they look at your eye to see what the pressure is and checking the pressure. And I think it's important to know what our eye pressure is. We talk about blood pressure, we talk about diabetes, you know, knowing your numbers. So knowing your numbers for your eyes is equally important.
Yes, it is.
Based on what you just told me. And there's times that they need to treat it with eye drops or something like that to maintain that, to help manage the pressure in the eye. But I think that gives another reason to why we should go and take action and go to the eye doctor every year.
Yes.
Because the pressure can change from year to year.
Yes, it can.
And we don't even know it unless we have it checked.
Yeah, because some people can have their pressure go up to 32. And when it goes up to 32 or 34, that's when they find that's a danger zone. And that's when they want to go and give you surgery to rectify that.
Right. You know, and sometimes the only thing we think about is, oh, do I have cataracts or do I not have cataracts? We don't think about glaucoma. We don't think about macular degeneration. We don't think about those things. But those are equally important as if we have cataracts or any thing that could affect our vision. Now, you mentioned that you have vision loss.
Yes.
And so let's talk a little bit about how does someone adapt to that?
Well, it takes time. You have to say in your mind that this is something that's going to be with me for the rest of my life, and I have to deal with it. So when I'm walking in a building and I'm not familiar where I am, usually like if I'm at the doctor's office, I will wait till they walk in front of me. Then I walk behind them because that's a bigger object, and they can lead the way. Also, what helps me is being able to just have someone to tell me where something is or point it out to me. And these are the things that help me.
Wow. So it is an adjustment, but you can adapt to low vision by just following simple, like you say, show me where that is, walk in front of me. You know, I think you and I were having a conversation. You said not parking next to the curb because you're looking straight ahead, and the curb, if it has an elevation.
It's easier to see outside than it is inside. The reason why it's easier to see outside is because you have more light, and you have natural light. So when I'm inside a building, and if I'm at my house, I will open up the window, and I have a big window. The reason why I open up the window is because I can see better by the light. And when I read on my iPad, because you can have big text on your iPad, or when I'm just looking at a video, I can see better with the lights on it. And so that's why I sit by the window in order to see. And when it comes to getting something to drink, like if you want something hot to drink, I got a Keurig. All you got to do is put the water in there and then press a button and the water comes out. Also, when it comes to seasoning your food, take the season, put it on your hand. And then you can see it better on your hand because the season is a different color. But when you're trying to pour it out yourself and you're seasoning like that, you're like, wait a minute, how much did I put in there? And you're looking like, I don't know how much I put in there. Should I put some more in there? And then when you get done, you're like, wait a minute, is this still salty? And so you have to be careful that way.
Yeah.
And also, when you have your clothes, sometimes my clothes, it could be a light pink and a white. I have to ask, what color is this? I went to the store recently, and I saw this top, and I was like, "Oh, this is so cute!" And I went to pick it up, and I said, "This is a cute top, isn't it?" They were like, "It's brown." I was like, "I thought it was red. I don't like brown." So I put it back on the rack. And so if you need anything, just ask for it. Because people are more willing to help you than you think they are.
Yes. Well, I like that. Ask for it. Ask for help. It's okay to say, what color is this? Because, again, if you took it home and then you put it on with something that you know, with another color that you didn't prefer, you would not have been very pleased with it.
Correct.
But you mentioned that on your iPad that is larger, you can actually increase the font. So that's one way to adapt. I've seen people use magnifying glasses. Magnifying.
You know what I find with the magnifying glasses or the magnifying sheet? It is let me not use the word laborious. It is tiring because you move that sheet back this way, and you're moving it back this way, and by the time you finish moving your arms back and forth, you are so tired. But if you just use a big print, that will be a lot better. Or if you use your iPad, then you could just make the letters the way that you want to, as in you can have a dark background and you have lighter letters coming at you, and that way you can read better because it's the darker background.
So a black background and white letters?
Black, yes.
Okay.
And what you say to your iPad is invert colors. Siri, invert colors. So that means the change of the colors from the white or the yellow background to the black background.
Wow.
So Siri can help you out quite a bit. Ask Siri things. Siri, I need to listen to some music, gospel music. Can you put on gospel music for me? Siri will do that for you.
Wow. So there's a lot of devices that we can use to actually help us if there's any changes in our vision. And we know that as we age, we're going to experience some changes in our vision. That's just a given. Our body's just going to have that. But Melinda, let's hold that thought. When we come back, we're actually going to take a break right now.
Okay.
But when we come back, what we want to talk about is how does this apply in the church setting or in the conference setting? How does that apply with how we can help support individuals with low vision? And so don't go away. Give us just a moment and we'll be right back talking more about eye health. So welcome back to Let's Talk Health. Today we're talking about eye health, and we do know that there are some conditions where it's glaucoma, cataracts, macular degenerative diseases that can affect our eyesight. So far we've talked about the importance of having an eye exam every single year because we can have changes in our eyes that we do not realize. So today our guest Melinda Wilson's been so kind to join us and share with us her story about low vision. So Melinda, welcome again.
Thank you.
You know, I want to continue our conversation. We were talking about things that we can do to adapt. So in the church setting, we know that there are individuals who have low vision. We may not recognize them right away, but will be some clues that maybe someone has low vision, but we don't know that.
Some of the things that happens is when you are in church, and it is between Sabbath school and church service. That is when most of the people are getting up and walking around. When you see someone trying to get to another seat and they're hesitant or they're just standing there and they're not moving at all, it's because they were waiting for other people to move out the way because they don't know which way to go. So with my low vision, I have no peripheral. No peripheral means that I can't, if I'm looking at you straight ahead, I cannot see out of the sides of my eyes. So I don't know who's standing next to me. If I can't see who's standing next to me, and there's a whole bunch of people standing around me, I have high anxiety. So if you notice that someone is taking their time and being slow, that's one indication that they have low vision. If someone comes and tells you, you say to them, "Oh, I have a bulletin for you. Did you see such and such in the bulletin?" "No, I didn't see that." Can you tell me what it says? That's another indication. When you were going up to the front and everyone else is going up to the front and someone says, well, we need you to do a certain action, or we need everyone to participate in this, and you see that someone's still sitting in the back and they have not moved, that's another indication.
Wow. Those are good examples. Because, sometimes we'll say everybody move closer to the front. But if that individual doesn't have someone to assist them, or they're not familiar with the environment, they may be comfortable where they're sitting.
Correct.
And sometimes we make an assumption. We say, oh, it was in the bulletin. Everybody didn't see it. Or, we make an assumption that just because we put it in the bulletin or up on the screen, that everyone saw it. And indeed, it may have been presented, but the individual may not have seen it.
Correct.
One of the things that you brought up was very interesting. When we do that changing in between Sabbath school and church, people are moving around, and someone's standing still and maybe trying to wait till people settle down before they move forward. Being patient with that individual. Now,
Yes.
I do know sometimes people want to come touch you and move you forward and all of that. It sounds like what you're saying is just allow that individual to wait.
If you want to help that individual, what you would do is you come to the front of them. Please do not come to the side. When you come to the side, you are startling me.
Okay.
You are making me want to almost hit you, because I don't know what's going on.
Yes.
That's my reaction. And you don't want someone to be in church and they say, oh, this person was belligerent to me. This person was getting out of order on me. Stands right in front of a person when you talk. Don't come up to them, touch them on the shoulder. And when you do come around from around the side, you say, hey, sister, how you doing? Let them know that you're approaching them.
Wow. Very important. One thing as you were talking that sometimes we may not even think about. If there's an emergency in the church that people need to evacuate, or in a mall where people need to evacuate, and someone has low vision, what is the solution to that?
Well, I would say that can be worked out. Because a person with low vision, they're going to follow the crowd. I'm telling you, you running, I'm running too. And I can see you. I can see the clothing. As long as I see the clothing, I'm out of here.
I love it. I love it. That's a great illustration. It really is. But I do think it is important to stand in front of the person, like you said, and speak to them in front and not from behind. Because we're good at tapping someone on the shoulder, and expect them to turn to see who we are. I remember my nephews used to tap my mom on the shoulder, and when she looked this way, then they tap her on the other, and and back and forth. And it was a little game they played, but so she didn't, she thought it was fun, but it's not, like you said, can produce anxiety in someone.
My husband, the other day, I am coming out of the gym. My husband says to me, where you going? Didn't you see that car? And I'm like, no. He said, you need to pay attention a little bit better when you're walking out of the gym. Why is it that I did not see that car? It is because of my peripheral vision. Why isn't it that I don't have the sense to stand there and watch to see if there's any cars coming? Like you had said, your parents had told you, look both ways. I'm so used to having my vision that I don't look both ways because I had that peripheral vision. Now I had to get back to going back to that childhood to looking both ways, turning it ahead. Yes,
that's a good example because you didn't have the peripheral, but you, in your mind,
is there.
Wow. So that's a safety issue. So let's move into talk a little bit about safety. So safety out in the public places, spaces, whether it's a church or the mall, cooking, if you drop glass on the floor, all of that. Let's talk about some safety practices, because there may be someone that's watching that has low vision. And all of us, as we age, we're going to experience some low vision. So, it's very possible that it may be to different degrees. I'll put it that way. But again, let's talk about that. I know with me, when I get up in the morning, so I wear contact lenses. I must put them in before I go anywhere throughout the house, because I want to be able to see.
Right.
But let's talk about in public places and spaces. Let's talk about safety.
Yes. I've noticed quite a bit that when I go into a restaurant, they have these signs that says caution, wet floor. I don't see that. It's like a little triangle on the floor, and I'm looking, because I'm telling you, they must put that right at the door. So I'm focusing on how do I get around in this building. Who's looking down to see what is on the ground? I always kick it. Because I am not seeing what is on the ground. So that is one thing I had to figure out on how to be aware of looking down on the ground without running into people at the same time while I'm walking into the door.
Well, and that's a good point, because really, and oftentimes when people are walking, they're looking straight ahead. Very rarely are we looking down. So we need to think about, even in the church or public places, where do we put that sign? Caution, wet floor, or those, whatever sign that is. Walk this way. If it's low, we're not going to see it.
Right.
So so that's a good point, because you're thinking, I'm in an unfamiliar place. There's a sign on the floor. I'm not seeing it, but I'm really looking straight ahead to where am I going to be seated. That's really what your importance is.
And with the driving, when you're parking, if you're parking next to a curb, when my vision was worse than it is now, I would get outside and I would kick the curb, fall on the ground, and say, now why didn't somebody tell me that it was a curb right here?
Yes.
You have to be, people need to tell you what is going on around in your surroundings. Also, another safety issue.
Yes.
This is a big safety issue. When you're going to the grocery store, you're going to the bank, you're coming out of the building by yourself. You have a driver sitting in the car waiting for you. Do all the cars look alike to you? You have all gray cars, all white cars, all red cars. They're all the same color. So how are you going to tell which car is which car? Remember, you have to remember the license plate. Once you remember the license plate, you can walk up close behind the car to see what car belongs to you. I admit, one time I was trying to get in the wrong car because I did not remember the license plate.
Wow. And we take a lot for granted, but you're correct. The cars, there's many white, gray, red, whatever color they are in the parking lot. And to try to remember where the car was parked is a challenge. It can be a challenge. And so remembering the license plate number is even a better, more accurate way of being safe. So you're not getting in a car that's not yours, or someone thinks you're trying to break in their car and different things like that. Let's talk about safety at home, and we'll wrap up with that. So there must be some things within your home that you've done to try to remain safe.
Yes. What I've done at home is I've put a lot of things into plastic. So if you have a glass at home, it can easily break. And once it hits the floor, it is hard to try to clean up because you are looking at the floor and it's maybe yellowish or tan. and the glass is clear. How do you know that you cleaned up all of the glass?
Yes.
So what you're going to need is someone to help you with that. But to prevent that as much as possible, because there's a lot of things that's still in glass, try to put them in the plastic bins as much as you can, or containers. The other thing at home is doors. Close the doors or completely open the doors. I can run right into a door and be like, bam. If it wasn't for the glasses, I might, tell me black eyes I might have. When you're going into a hotel, now, you do not, probably, most of you won't have this at home, but if you're at a hotel, have you seen those glass doors?
Mm-hmm.
How do I know what is glass and what is the tub? I'm walking right into the glass door, and I'm like, oh man, that hurt.
Wow. Wow.
And so those little things like that you have to be aware of for your own safety at the house. When it is something that's like a pin cushion or something that will stick you, you have to be careful as to where to position that. When you're using a knife, I found out if you put your hands down with your knuckles and you can maneuver the knife that way so it won't cut your fingers.
Wow. Okay.
Also, you can use, I use a wooden cutting board, and that's what I can tell most of the time the difference between a lot of the foods that I'm cutting, because some of the foods you can't tell the difference that you're cutting. Like sometimes if you're on a clear board and you're cutting an onion and you're like, okay, so did I cut this part up? Or if you're cutting the potato, did I cut this part up? So you have to be careful with the knives too.
So, you've brought up some really good points, and you've been a great help to help educate us on ways to be safe when your vision has changed. And sometimes it's not us. It may be a family member, it could be a friend, and the information that you've provided to us, Mrs. Wilson, has been very valuable.
Thank you.
Because our goal really here on Let's Talk Health is to inform people, inform them how to navigate through life and how to have a healthy life. And so what you've done has been really helpful. So I would say to our audience, we've talked about a lot today, but our main focus was to talk about eye health, how to maintain your eye health by going to the doctor, how to know the signs and symptoms when your vision is declining, and really knowing that if it is declining, what are some of the things that you can do. Again, Mrs. Wilson reminded us, if we go to the doctor and catch it early enough, it's very possible we can maintain our eye health. But again, if you experience any changes, there are many different technologies that can be used to help with enlarging the font, making sure the background is dark. And it's very important that when you are around someone with low vision, that you ask them how you can help them, that you don't just try to assist them or come up from them from behind. So in the church setting, remember those clues: someone standing still, someone sitting still, someone asking you to read something. Never make the assumption that they can do it by themselves. They need our help. And so I would say to you, please subscribe to our station. Let's Talk Health is a very important program, not only for your health, but the health of you and your family, because our health matters to God and it matters to you and your family. Again, thank you so much, Mrs. Wilson, for being here today.
You're welcome.
And be sure to subscribe on YouTube for us.